But now we're gonna have my guy Kurt from the KurtLocker. He is patiently waiting. He's giving me the eye. His mustache is starting to bristle, so I don't want to get hurt. Let's go, Kurt.
What's up, man? Trying to match your energy.
It's impossible. It's
Uh,
impossible. All
that's
right.
where I'm getting. I need more go-go juice.
There you
Welcome to the
go. There
mornings.
you go. When in doubt, add coffee. Subtract water, add coffee. There you go.
Absolutely.
Man, I know you're kind of on a tight time schedule, so I want to jump right into this because there is a ton of stuff to cover with this what you call with the strongman competition at HomeGymCon. First of all, what are you calling it? Because I keep
So
on calling it is it the throwdown or what is it?
it's the throwdown. So I did some Chat GPT. I work with Chat GPT a lot just because I'm not a very creative guy. So I was going through all the different strongman competition names, and I was basically throwing them in Chat GPT and going through different variations of it. And the throwdown is kind of the one that I settled on. It felt the coolest. Plus, it's mildly original, not very often used. So the throwdown at HomeGymCon 2024. That is this year's competition name.
That's interesting because you would think, you know what? I'll bet you because I wanted to say no, I've seen it before, but I think what I normally see is showdown.
Yes. So showdown is like
Because of
super
that
popular,
alliteration.
especially when it's like the deadlift showdown or like
Yeah.
Florida's strongest man showdown, Florida man showdown, something like that. But yeah, the throwdown though, not very often used, but I feel like it's still, like kind of like in between fighting, but also competing. So for me, it seemed kind of cool. So
I like
yeah,
it. I like it.
yeah, yep.
All right.
And
So
also just gotta commit to it at first too, right? Like it's gonna be the throwdown at HomeGymCon, and then after a while, you just get used to hearing it, and it's awesome.
man, I'm completely on board with it because I enjoyed watching it last year when I was there, and it was like, first of all, Home Gym Con was kind of, I wouldn't say it wasn't impromptu because there was a ton of planning that went into it. Jake put a ton of work and stuff behind the scenes. But the thing is that nobody really knew what it was going to be. So because you didn't know what it was going to be, we kind of the vendors didn't really know like, okay, well, what are people going to be interested in seeing? We didn't know as far as events people might want to participate in. We didn't know. So a lot of the stuff that was there was kind of like, so I was in artillery. Kurt is a proud member of the Air Force. Is that correct?
That is right. Yep.
All right. Yeah. So he's also serving our country as we speak. Okay. So so I have a lot of references from the military. And in artillery, we had a thing where sometimes they call it a hip shoot. You're driving down the road, and I don't know if I should tell you guys this because you might be like, oh, this doesn't sound so scientific. Basically, you're driving down the road, you get a call for fire support, and you're like, hey, the problem is that way. We're not sure where it is. We don't really have coordinates, but it's that way. So you pull off the road and you just aim the cannons in that direction and shoot one round.
Hell
And
yeah.
then you adjust based upon what the forward observer sees, right? And that's kind of what Home Gym Con was the first year. It was, all right, let's just shoot it out there, see what happens, see what the reactions are, do our OODA loop, and then make adjustments. And you see that this year, it's a lot more of a fine-tuned, it's a lot more of, I think it's going to be an even better experience than last year, which is saying something because we loved it. We all loved it.
Oh, great. I think your analogy there is actually pretty spot on. Even from some of the stuff behind the scenes for last year. So for instance, last year I basically packed up my entire gym into a trailer, and so the hip shoot part of it, right? So I backed that trailer into that giant arena space. I think mine was the first one in. Yeah, my trailer was the first one in, and I basically just hip shooted that stuff off. I didn't even know where I was going to be setting up in there.
Yeah, you didn't
And
even know where to put it. You're like,
yeah, so where I was setting up actually changed.
oh wow.
I think it was twice. It wasn't a big deal because I basically just stacked all my crap up. But then there was also like the expectation. So I think Rep was the first vendor that I saw show up because they had this huge space to set up, and their people were like walking around my equipment and kind of like side eyeing it. I was like, jump in there and use it. I don't care what you guys touch. And it's kind of like that hip shoot, that expectation, like, hey, what is this? And I think that really set the tone for me. And it was like, no, 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 like I don't care what brand you are. I don't care where you're from. Like the point of this is like, hey, let's get our hands on some equipment that maybe we've never touched before. And in the case of strongman, it's like, hey, why do you have a 12-inch diameter, 105-pound circus dumbbell sitting here? It's like, just grab it, touch it, have fun with it. Yeah, you're not going to break it. Trust me.
So yeah, I had fun with it.
Absolutely. You
for you guys,
definitely did have fun with it.
for
That'll
those
be
who
a
don't know, I
not a
scared Kurt.
galvanizing moment. That's a core memory.
Yeah, that was like I scared Kurt. So my favorite part of it. So basically, I did a circus dumbbell bench press because I had done one, but I did it with it was just kind of an impromptu thing, and the circus dumbbell that I had done it with was lighter than the one you had. So I was like, well, hey, I saw it. I said, hey, why not? And I remember asking you, hey, how heavy is this? And you told me. I said, okay, cool. And then I got my wife to record, and I picked it up, and it never hit. So I'm so used to doing like the bench press and those old time lifts that I forget sometimes what it looks like to other people.
Yeah.
So I'm doing the bent press and I see, and it's funny because when you're doing it, so basically for the bent press, you're twisting your body so that your shoulders are ideally your shoulders end up vertical or perpendicular to the ground between your legs. All right. So that already sounds like something outlandish, right? And then because you're turned, you can see people who are looking at you if they're at a certain angle. So I can see you. I can see the fear on your face because I'm going down, I'm twisting. And what did you say? You're like, wait, I think my first patient or something like that.
Yeah. So I don't remember who I was talking to, but I was halfway paying attention to the equipment, just because if people had questions, a lot of times people are, scared to ask questions. And so I'm kind of like keeping an eye. I see you on the circus dumbbell. There was also some other people. There was like someone over on the PR platform from Bartos. There was a few people over there. And so I'm like trying to keep an eye on a couple different folks. And I think I might have been talking to maybe Joel Eisenson, Koala Barbell. We were catching up. And
That's a strong dude.
yeah, he is a strong dude for a light guy. Yeah.
Oh
But
God, yeah.
I turn around and I look, and so it wasn't my brain very quickly did not diagnose what you were doing as a bent press because I didn't watch the entire thing. I
Oh, you didn't see
basically
my
caught
setup.
no, I didn't see any. So all I saw was
Oh,
like
okay.
you were. So again, you're trying to like get those shoulders vertical so you can recruit those triceps to do some pushing action for you. And so I'm looking at it, and like with the circus dumbbell, it's a unique implement that
Yeah.
not a lot of people have pressed. And so I'm like, oh God, like what's happening here? And at the same time, I'm also like, I don't want someone to get hurt. Like this is our first home gym con. We can't have someone get injured. And I interrupted Joel and I was like, I think my first patient just arrived. And yeah, just basically sprinted over. And then as I ran over, that's when I registered, oh, his wife's recording this. So either
She
she's trying to
seems
get some
calm.
sort of, yeah, I was like, yeah, she seems okay. So this is either like
Might have
set
insurance
up
on
for a
him
viral
or
TikTok or
yeah.
something like that. I don't know. But yeah, I got over and you were fine. You pressed it overhead too. So
Oh yeah,
it was
yeah, yeah.
it was a good little press, but definitely a kind of like the first funny moment of panic.
That
And
was
actually, funny enough, the it was also the only moment of panic. So other than that, I didn't really think of anything that yeah really like freaked me out the entire weekend. Everything
no.
else was
I
just
mean,
good
it
to
was.
go.
I thought it was a very well run event. I mean, I'm a shenanigans coordinator, so I went around doing stuff like so. Then I went over to the rep booth, and okay. So when I did that because I wanted to know, basically that was going to be a PR for me in the not in that lift, but in that implement in that lift.
Yeah,
All right. And as a side note, this is like something. This is words to live by for anybody who's listening. If you are out of town doing something, make sure that you stay well under your max. It's cool to do it for the it's kind of like a travel tattoo. This is not the time to be adventurous. Get something that is tough to screw up. All right. So when I
this is
do
how you
stuff
get
out of
tribal tramp stamps at spring break.
yeah, don't do it. All right.
Yeah,
So when I do lifts, especially if I'm out of town, I'm far from my home doctor or whatever, my home physician. Anything I do is going to be something that I have a probably 70, at least the 80% belief I can do. Okay. And but anyway, so yeah, I did my ox lift with a Steinborn. So I Steinborn safety squat bar at the rep booth. And then while Adam from Rep is watching, he watches me Steinborn the safety squat bar. He's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And then he sees me step forward, and then with the safety squat bar on my shoulders, still I let go. I reach down, I grab the trap bar, and I stand up. And he's like, okay, hold on. and, then,
Yeah.
and I'm
So,
doing it.
so this is really funny too. So it's almost like so people get like cabin fever, right? And they start to do
Yeah,
like weird, silly goose stuff. So this is the home gym equivalent of cabin fever, right? So like this is the
yeah,
stuff that because I don't go to a commercial gym and don't have to
yeah.
worry about people doing uh other types of silly goose stuff, I can just focus on doing silly stuff I want to do. So for your case, like doing that ox lift, but like Adam probably isn't used to seeing that because I don't know if Adam
Exactly.
has like his home gym, but I'd imagine he would just train at Rep HQ.
Yeah, yeah.
And so like there's a certain when there's people around, just like your dance video, right? So the dance party, the way that started off is like I've definitely done that moment. I've had my girls out here and done a little dance party. But in a public gym, there's just
You
like this
inhibited. Yeah,
unwritten code of like, no, you don't do that because we're here to get strong.
yeah.
Like imagine doing that. So I don't know if you've ever been to. I think the best case of this would be like Wichita Falls Athletic Center, which is like the most
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. What's his name?
culturally like there's no music. There's no. It's just clang,
Mark Rippleton.
barbell, grunting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I was stationed down there, I trained at Wichita Falls just like once, and it was like weird. So imagine trying to like break out into like a dinosaur suit dance party, or like imagine trying to do like an ox lift at Wichita Falls. I
Oh
feel
God,
like
I'll get kicked directly out.
yeah, well, yeah, you would hear the creak of Rip's chair, and he'd be like, he'd probably get up to lean against something, be like, "Hey, what you doing over there? That's not a 3x5. You need to knock that crap off."
Exactly. Uh,
So, but
I mean, so I did it, and it was like, well, okay, so I did that one because I was running short on time. Because remember, I was running around trying to get interviews and
yeah,
videos and stuff. So I'm like, I want to enjoy this too. So I'm like sprinting almost. Okay, go over here, have fun. Okay, quick, back to work. That kind of thing, right? So I'm looking forward to this year because I've hopefully planned a little bit better. And so I won't be quite as frantic. Even though I am going to be broadcasting the Strongman Throwdown, I still have kind of like try to plan stuff in so that I can do most of my broadcasting and recording around time, but allow myself to have time to have fun too. Speaking of the
that's gonna be
Strongman
tough,
Throwdown,
man. That's gonna be tough. Yeah,
dude,
I'll let you transition, but that's gonna be real tough because that vendor list is bigger, and
exactly.
you treat this as a business trip.
You dang
Um,
right.
yeah, you're all
That that
business.
that's it, man. I don't. Well, and some of that is because I feel like I'm not. I don't consider myself a hobbyist in this, right?
Yeah,
This is my retirement plan, and I would like for retirement to come quickly. So
yeah,
I wanted to take off. I wanted, and I need to treat it seriously. I need to give it at least as much serious attention as I would at my current full time job, because I want it to be my current full time job. So when I go places, I look at it like, okay, if I'm an NFL reporter, I always use this example. If I'm an NFL reporter and I go to, let's say, the combine's going on right now, right? NFL reporters are at the combine. They're having fun because they're around athletes. It's great, but they're not fanboying out. They're there to work.
yeah,
And so for me, it's like that's the same thing when I go to HomeGymCon or whenever we go to the Arnold. Yeah, I have fun, but we're there to work, right? I need to be able to leave and say, I've got these pieces of content I created that I'm proud of because I gave it serious attention and that people can watch and enjoy because I gave it serious attention. So yeah, it's something, but I still think I can do it because knowing that we've got so many more vendors, I said, okay, I'm gonna back off a little bit about what I'm gonna make myself responsible to do, try to focus on certain vendors to get interviews with, and allow myself time to walk around and still kind of enjoy the atmosphere, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
yep.
Um, so a couple more things about the throwdown, and then I want to talk about your YouTube channel. Because I love your channel and the things you're doing with it. So there's tell me about the ticket pricing if you enter the throwdown.
Yeah, so ticket pricing was originally so the ticket pricing gets you into Home Gym Con for the Friday and the Saturday. Originally, when we were discussing pricing, we were discussing the ticket price along with what it costs to run a competition. Because when you enter into the throwdown, you also get an athlete shirt, um, as well as like the prizes and everything. But there's like I have to purchase some things to make this competition work. So when we originally discussed pricing, we discussed an early bird option at the same ticket cost as Home Gym Con, which is $65 for the 2 days. You can use, I think you have a coupon code. I've got a coupon code. There's tons of coupon codes out there. So don't pay full price. Go use someone's coupon code.
Yeah.
I think you saved like 10%, if I recall right. But yeah, so originally it was going to be $65 for the early entry. First 10 people got that, and then it went to 90. What we discovered is even though $90 is competitive for a competition entry of this scale, so like with prizes, with cash prizes, and physical prizes like equipment, there was just a little bit less interest. And that could have been because I'm also a home gym trainer, right? So like a lot of times strongmen show up with the people from their home gym that they train at. That's usually where these competitions are held, and that's why they can get so many people. This is a unique one because it's not nationals. It's I'm not Brian Shaw, right? So I
Yeah.
don't necessarily attract people like I wish I did. So we ended up lowering the ticket price from $90 back down to 65. I do still owe four people their difference there, so I am returning the money that I got. That $25 extra is going to get returned to those four people that signed up at the $90 price. But yeah, basically, super long explanation, which I'm terrible about doing. But it's going to be
This is not a good commercial
$65.
for your YouTube channel.
No,
I'm
no, no.
just kidding.
I
I'm
man,
kidding.
I talk forever about stuff.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, so $65 gets you your entry. That also still gets you your home gym con entry. Now, what's interesting is that the grip sport that Rob from Vintage Weights is doing
Yeah,
is
Rob's gonna be
also
running. Yeah.
$65, which is great because now basically if you were planning on going to home gym con, you might as well just sign up for a competition while you're at it, and potentially win some cash prizes or win some, other types of prizes. So 65 bucks though gets you a 2 day entry. And then if you want to do like the dinner and stuff, if there's still entries, I have a coupon code I can send you that'll basically take the home gym con price out of it.
Okay. Let me take a second and make sure. I think we've got a couple things in the chat. So 50 Cal Fitness said they're getting ready for the throwdown.
Yeah,
Uh,
buddy.
S- Carlos from CBS True Consumer Reviews says thank you for your service. Appreciate you. Uh, Eric Eccles is on his way to work. I'm sorry, the inventor, the illustrious inventor Eric Eccles is on his way to
Yeah.
work. Said he's listening in. And I already mentioned our boy Jonathan from No Fate. Um, the thing that I am curious about is so last year people could just walk up and just jump in, right?
Yep.
Is that still an option this year? And if they can't just walk up and jump into the competition like on the spot, will they still have the ability to like touch the implements that you bring with you after the competition is over?
Yeah. What's up, Cart? Um, So yes, you can walk up and enter. It's a little bit less than ideal, and it will come at a slight markup in price. And there's also no guarantee for a shirt. But yes, you can walk up day of, register and compete. So that's fine. And the only thing that you'd have to do is weigh in. I'd have to have you sign there's a liability waiver that you have to sign. Uh, and then you're good. And then you have to make sure you got your USS membership. But yeah, those three things you can definitely walk up and register day of. That's fine.
Okay. So I'll put so my next question was going to be, well, if somebody's watching this or listening to this right now, what's the best way for them to enter? Obviously, it's like any other strongman competition. Go get United States Strongman membership card, get that right, and then go, I guess, is it on the Home Gym Con website or how will they get the link
No, so
to
so this
enter?
is what's wonderful about the strongman community. So I know of three federations operating in the U.S. Two of the three of those federations, North American Strongman and United States Strongman, both operate on Iron Podium. So what you can
That's
do,
right. That's right. Yeah.
don't worry about anything else. Just go to Iron Podium. I'll be changing as soon as we're done here. I'll be changing the link in my Instagram bio to just be the Home Gym Con the throwdown at HomeGymCon link. You just go there and it's one-stop shopping. You can even like as you purchase your ticket for the throwdown, you can actually select, oh, I need to purchase my USS membership as well, and that gets you in, and that's good for all of 2024.
And actually, since I am going to be broadcasting it, I need to get you the link so you can put it on Iron Podium because there'll be people who want to see it. Because let's say they don't do it this year, when they see how cool it is, I anticipate people just like last year, people saw how cool it was, and now we got more people coming. So I anticipate it growing next year, and so that to me is an important tool. You have the video so people can say, "Oh, well, that's what the competition looked like," and then maybe we'll get more people jumping in next year. Um, I see the legendary Eric Carpenter, Coach Carp is here. Shout out to Central. He's early. Hey, Central Time Zone's not supposed to check in until 7. You get back on schedule.
Right?
Nah, it's
He's
good
probably
having
out
you,
having a
man.
dance party next to his log right now.
Hey, my man unlocked his hips. I said, "Oh, I wasn't ready." He didn't warn me. He actually what he said was, "You asked for it." That's what the link was. That's what the caption was when he sent it to me. You asked for it, and I did, and he gave it to me.
I like
um,
imagine being his neighbor across the street. I've been to his house and trained with him. Uh,
yeah, I saw that video
yeah,
actually. You guys
imagine
had
like
you
you're
had a good
just
time.
sitting there having breakfast and you just see Eric. He's got a camera set up out front. You're like, did Eric start a OnlyFans or something? Like,
Like, oh god, like what in the world's going on over there?
just saying, Carp, I'd pay for that OnlyFans.
It's like that. What's that thing? The two housewives, and they're looking at the people in the garage. Say that big gig energy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
um, let's talk about your YouTube channel a little bit.
yeah.
So
Let's do it.
you recently posted a video of yourself stress testing a deadlift bar from Bear Steel, company I have a lot of respect for. They're actually at the Arnold right now. Shout out to
They
them.
are.
Um, the thing is that and if you guys haven't seen that, you need to check Kurt out on Instagram. I think is on your Instagram. That's probably the best place to see it. And
Yeah.
then you've got the video on your YouTube channel too. But that I'll let you explain everything that goes into it. But the bar is just dang near bending, right? And
Oh,
the thing is, most people who watch reviews aren't aware of all the work that goes into it. What's the wildest thing you've ever done to get a product review done?
all right. So that test is probably so. I think that this is a relative issue. So relatively speaking, I don't think I'm a strongman. I'm a bomb technician. I believe in safety, but I also believe in just like getting stuff done. And also, the things I've been exposed to in life are different than a lot of people are used to. So, to answer the question, that bar test is probably the craziest thing that I've ever done for a review. That bar test was just one of 6 barbells that I did that to. And the whole reason, by the way, just the so I don't give context, right? I gave it a little bit of context. I'm trying to figure out if I can measure stiffness of a bar. Um, the whole context there was I am comparing 28.5 millimeter power bar shafts because I have an Oregon power bar from Kabuki Strength. I have that review coming out. I was supposed to release that yesterday, actually, and I just work has basically taken over, and I didn't have any time to record, so
I mean,
it's
you're
late.
kind of
But
busy defending the country, Kurt. We understand.
yeah. 5 state response region, 25 operators. You know, it's a
It's
good time.
okay.
It's worth it. But so I was comparing the different shafts, and what I was looking for is like, I am so I know me, and I know some other people are really tired of even me. I'm guilty of this. I get on a review and I'm like, it's a stiff bar. And it's like, well, what does that even mean? Like,
Yeah.
so like even when you go on and you look at the Rogue website and you're looking at like good whippy, right? It's got like the little graphic and like a bent bar and it says great whip, best whip, little whip. Like what does that mean? And so I'm big on like how can I capture a way to measure that? Also
Okay.
keeping in mind that I don't have lab grade equipment. I'm not that rich. So that was one of my attempts. Now that's not going to be the final test that I do. So I am working on a barbell. Gosh, how do I even capture the whole thing with this? So like, how many of you guys are sick of hearing influencers say this is this is as aggressive neural or like Gluck with his silly goose?
President.
Yeah. So like Gluck with his silly goose cat tongue thing that he tried for a while, and then
Yeah.
I think Coop did like this gets 3 neural marks or something like that. Like it's just frustrating because like there's no way to really compare them. So what I'm trying to do is I'm working with a couple other people. I'm not going to get too far into it, but we're trying to figure out like, hey, let's quantify some of this, and then building a database that we can go back and look at. So what you guys saw was me developing a test that I can do repeatedly on barbells. And yeah, so I was comparing the 28.5 millimeter shaft of the Oregon Power Bar to the 28.5 millimeter shaft of the Texas Power Bar, as well as the Bear Steel Iron Skull, because they're all 28.5 mil bars, all made in USA, all USA made steel. And so I wanted to see, like, hey, so if they're all 28.5 and they're all power bars and they're all generally the same size, that means that theoretically they would all bend the same amount
Right.
underneath a maximum load stress test. So
Yeah.
I think there was 9 plates
I was
on the
gonna
end of that bar.
say
And then what I did is
it
to
looks
test it,
sketchy.
it relatively sketchy, sure. But
Yeah.
yeah, I had a few moments where I was like, yeah, I should be right here. But I
That
was
was a
standing to
big
the
thing.
side
It
for the
wasn't
most
that
part.
what you were doing, it was the angle that I saw you at. I was like, "Oh, this is not good."
Yeah. So that's my security camera. And what's nice about that is I have a security camera that keeps 30 days of footage. And so I can go back and recall that. Apparently, I need to go partner with Eccles because he has
Yeah.
tools. That's what it's looking like.
Well, I mean,
All right. Hey,
you don't
Eric,
become
don't be
a
surprised.
millionaire, a billionaire genius inventor, playboy without having
Right?
tools to measure.
My
So
goodness. Eric, don't be surprised if you get roped into a group message. I'm just saying. So
you
Eccles,
know,
my man, my Saxon grips are up behind me.
there I don't want to forget this because I thought of it when you said it. You're talking about neural. I just watched a video from it was excellent from Tim at Jim Crafter, Jim Crafter YouTube channel. You guys need to check it out. And he's talking about knurling, and he mentioned something that I rarely see mentioned, where he talked about the different kinds of knurling. That all knurling is not the same, and so um, I'm not gonna even attempt to try to like condense a video that long down into 30 seconds. I'm just gonna say I'll link it in the description for this video, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter. It is gonna be linked, and so you'll be able to see it. And just go to Tim just go to Jim Crafter and check out that knurling video because I actually even did a community post on it on my YouTube channel, and I was like, "This is great," because if you don't know anything about knurling, which is how he makes stuff, his videos, it's like it's designed for people who don't know anything about the equipment to like kind of give you a primer. Hey, okay, after you watch this, you'll kind of have better education and be able to ask better questions when you go to buy stuff. So I'm gonna link it, and you guys will be able to check it out. It'll be in the description of this video today. Okay, especially if you watch it on replay, you'll be able to check it out. Let's go to the chat. Eric said that Saxon grips are now included in the grip competition that we mentioned that Rob's going to be running. So at HomeGymCon, so that is outstanding because the Saxon lift is a Saxon bar is a really tough grip challenge, and so with those Saxon grips, that's going to make it portable. So and then you'll be able to buy them, I'm assuming, from the AdMat booth. So that's actually like a really cool way. You test it out, so yeah, I'll take it. So that's cool. Um, how long do you normally take when you're doing a review?
So if I'm a fast turn review for me is 3 weeks ish of using it, and then 1 week of production. During that week of using it, I'm taking notes. I recently I found a way to keep notes that I can just organize better using a really cool little tablet thing that my dad got me. But 3 weeks of use, 1 week of we'll call it like hard work. So that's where I outline the review, which often highlights some gaps in my assessments, and then I go back and I fill those gaps with either data or observations or opinions. And then recording. So recording a review, I tend to go way overboard as far as like being in depth. I do that on purpose because I have a unique situation with YouTube. But I'll just go full ham. So like I think the barbell review I just did on the Steel Reaper bar was just under 20 minutes long for a barbell review, which is pretty stinking long. But it goes like, in my opinion, way overboard, way more. As far as I know, I am the first content creator to regularly break down the sleeve, for instance. So
Yeah.
before I started doing that, you might get like a how to maintain your barbell video, but you never got something along the lines of like, hey, I'm going to break down the sleeve and show you what's underneath the sleeve. And the reason I started doing that is because I was doing maintenance on an import barbell that one of my neighbors had, and I broke the sleeve down. And I was like, "How long have you had this?" And he's like, "Oh, I just got it, but the barbell sleeve doesn't spin, and it's because it was completely oxidized inside the sleeve." And so I was like, "Oh,
Yes.
well, I can start doing that." But so for a long term review, so for instance, I just did one on the uh, barefoot brand shoes.
Yep.
And that review took me. So the big thing with shoes, especially barefoot minimalist style footwear, is that people get concerned about the longevity. And so I
Yep.
wasn't willing to even entertain a review until about a year of use. And what's really funny is in that year of use, they had actually adjusted fire on some of their stuff. And so when I published the review, they got back to me and they said, "Hey, by the way, awesome review, but we already did like the insole change. So they're using a different style of insole that's a lot more durable." And so I'll be coming out with a double tap review on that. But yeah, about 3 weeks. As far as like actual production hours, uh, a lot. The content to make a 20-minute video is probably 60 minutes long. I'm not Brandon. I can't. I've even got a teaching degree and I just can't do what Brandon does, where he just like, all right, cool, video, produce,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and just goes. I can't do it. So I'm very much a doing multiple takes and all that kind of stuff. So um, yeah, hang on. Good morning.
Hey, what's up? You can go, Kurt. We'll talk to her. The
No, no,
star has
yeah,
arrived.
she's just gonna go get her breakfast real quick.
There you go.
But yeah,
Um,
so yeah, about that long. So it takes a lot of effort.
yeah, I mean, so there's so much to unpack right there. And if you guys are watching, please put your if you have questions for Kurt while we have him, he's getting ready to getting ready to let him go. He's got to head off to work. But if you have questions for Kurt, please drop them in the chat and we go ahead and address them before he gets out of here. Um, so the first thing is about taking apart the barbell sleeves. It wasn't until this year that I found out that I mean, I knew you could take apart a barbell sleeve, okay? But I was over at David Dennis's place and he showed me he's got barbell, he don't even make barbells, okay? But in the process of other things that he does, he said, you know, that a bar might say it's a 45-pound bar and not exactly be uniformly uh balanced. And he said the reason is you could take a cheap barbell sleeve, and if you look at it, the inside diameter of the sleeve is not uniform thickness.
Nope.
So it may be thinner on one end than on the other because it just depends on how they made the sleeve at whatever factory, right? Um, so that's the first thing. The second thing is you're making the video, and that happens all the time. You know, that's why I tell people don't just take what we say as gospel. This is based upon our experience, our personal background, our environment, the the particular unit of the product that we got. You still need to kind of research it, and if there are other reviews on the same product, check those out too. This is your hard-earned money, and if you call me to say, hey, I bought this on your recommendation, I'm not giving you a refund, because I'm
Yeah.
telling you now, you need to do your full research. It's like buying a car. But from the standpoint of a content creator, if I make a video and a brand says, oh, well, we changed all this stuff, especially if it's based off of stuff I said, I love that, because number one, the brand's listening to us. I don't mean us, the content creators. I mean they're listening to the customer, right? That's great. Number two, that's more content. Now I'll make another video. Hey, I did this. If you guys want to see the original video, go back and watch it to see what I said. But here is what the brand did after I did the video, right? So that's good for us. And I think that you can create a conversation that I think is healthy for the community, because the brand's interacting with us, people in the comments on the video, and you end up getting some really, really cool stuff because, like you said, I love the barefoot shoe. I've got one of the original versions, and now there's a better version out based upon feedback from people like you and me, right? Um, I want
This
to
is why.
the another question I had is, I don't think I've ever asked anybody this. What's a piece of equipment that you maybe had a low opinion of, or I guess a high opinion of? What's a piece of equipment that you had a preconceived notion on did a review on it and it changed your opinion about it?
So I had to think about this pretty good. So I kind of I'm going to give you two answers here. The first one doesn't even address your question, but
Excellent.
my channel. This is so like you. Where I differ from most content creators is that this is not my retirement plan. I don't care about the algorithm. I care about what my audience likes,
Mm,
but I don't really care about the rest of it. I am grateful to people that watch content or purchase using affiliate links, that kind of stuff. But this is not my retirement gig. This is definitely something I do more as a hobby, which is what liberates me a lot of times. So, like tomorrow morning, I'm going to be going to the Arnold. I'm not making content because, if I'm being perfectly honest, I don't give a crap about making content about stuff that I just want to enjoy. And so, because of that, I tend to only buy things that I want. Like I have to want it, which is why a lot of my stuff that I review ends up coming out with a positive review. It's because I've heavily researched this, watching other people's reviews, etc. And then if I have a massive difference in opinion, that's where I'll publish. Now, with all that being said, I did get so like this last year has been pretty cool. So when I say last year, I mean last 365 days, we'll call it, because my channel has grown to a level that's big enough where I'm like finally kind of I think viewed by manufacturers and brands as a an actual like influencer. So I'll occasionally get like a free thing. So Rep Fitness is a really good example here. So Rep Fitness, to help out with HomeGymCon last year, they actually gave me the Oxalis yoke. Now I've had a lot of yokes on my back throughout the years, and the Oxalis was an import style, and I've never been impressed by an import style. So there's one example of one where I was like, all right, cool. Rep does a really good job. They thoroughly research, they know what they want, they have high levels of quality control. And when they sent me the Oxalis, I expected something that I would grade at around maybe like a 5 or a 6. And what I had was an 8 or a 9. Like it was an absolutely awesome piece of equipment as far as yokes go. Not to mention that it could also be, a squat stand. Like they did a good job. The only part and the only reason that it maybe gets an 8 is just because the handheld apparatus thing, can't remember what it's called, but basically what turns it into a frame, it just causes balance issues on the taller yoke. So there's one where like I expected a low and got a high. Now that doesn't mean that all of them are that way. So
right.
I'm trying to think of like something that I expected to be really great and wasn't. And thank God, I nothing comes to mind right away, but
Yeah.
I'll know it when I see it.
I mean that so I had one of those where I have a high opinion. I have a high opinion of Texas Power Bars. They
Yeah.
have a great reputation. They've got a great history in strength sports. But my first time playing with one of their bench bars, I was at my buddy's place in Arkansas, and I was actually there to stream a competition for him. And I was working out the day before the competition, and I used his Texas bench bar. And the sleeves were not, one sleeve was outside of spec, it was too big. So the collars didn't fit on it.
Oh,
The collars were fine. The collars fit on sleeves that were correct spec. In fact, the collars fit on the other side of the Texas bench bar. But there was one, and he went and I mentioned it to him. And he said, "Hey," so he goes, he grabs his calipers and measures it. He said, "Oh, this is out of spec." Is not
wow.
now anything could happen, but that was my again. That goes back to that was my one experience with a Texas bench bar.
Yep.
I've used a Texas deadlift bar, used a Texas power bar, but that was my only experience with the Texas bench bar. So if I were to do a review of the Texas bench bar based off of that, it's going to be lower because that's my only experience. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
And with
that's
that
one
being
where
said, too, yeah, with that being said, too, though, I have had stuff show up that was, I don't think the word incorrect is the right word, but I've had stuff show up where I required customer service as a part of the review. So for something like that, I'm sure if you reached out to Texas Power Power Bar, is there a company called Texas Power Bar? I'm sure if you
I
reached
believe
out
so.
to Buddy
Yeah.
Caps and his team, they would probably take care of you. But so for me, that's part of what goes into the review. So for instance, an unreleased review that I I actually have. right now. I just need to go finish the final edit. Is the bare steel rackable curl bar,
Hmm.
but the one of the sleeves on it, the finish actually completely flaked. It actually cut my hand because I was just so during inspection of sleeves, you got to do like weird stuff. And again, I've got the
Yeah.
security camera, so the nice part is I can go pull this footage if I wanted. So I'm like sitting there rotating the sleeve with my hand over it, gingerly touching it, recording it for my secret audience, and then all of a sudden I felt a cut on my hand, and I pull my hand away, and there's a big old piece of finish just stuck in my hand. Now,
Did you say it's only a flesh wound? That was your come on, man. Kurt,
uh, I saw
it's for the
the funny,
culture.
yeah. I did no, I and a
Oh,
lost
man.
opportunity. So because I'm normally like number one on doing obscure movie quotes, but yeah, no, didn't do anything. I just kind of went like, huh, and like looked at it, and I immediately messaged Sean, who's the owner of Bear Steel Equipment,
It's
and
good
I was
too.
just like, hey, Sean. So he had sent me that bar for free, right? So
Yeah.
that's another part of this too. Is if a company, what I've kind of decided I'm going to do is if a company is willing to partner with me and send me equipment in exchange for content, um, now you're still going to get my honest opinion, but I'm going to reach out to that company a lot more often. So, for instance, if I find discrepancies between a
Yeah.
website description and what I have in my hands, if you send me that bar for free, you're probably going to get an email, text message, something from me saying like, "Hey, I'm about to publish this review. Um, these are generally my wave top findings. And this is a discrepancy I found. So if it's fixed at the time of recording, and so what I'll literally do is I will go to the website and I will look it up at the time of recording. And at the time of recording, if it's still incorrect, it's going to be part of the review. And so I reached out to Sean and I was like, hey, this happened. And he was having so he as an owner of a company has obviously like all sorts of stressors going on to include supply chain issues,
Oh,
just like
100%. Yeah.
everybody. And so I could tell based on his response, it was a text message that he was a little bit stressed out about that. And I said, well, what would you do, like if I was a customer and I purchased this bar, what would you do? And he's like, well, I would give you the option of I can send you a sleeve. I can send you a whole bar. I can return the bar, exchange it. And I was like, all right, cool. That's fine. Now, so here's the deal. He sent me this bar for free. And I'm going to be really honest. I beat the living crap out of bars. Like, I will even go and like damage parts of barbells on purpose
Yeah.
just to see how it stands up to certain things. And so I was just like, yeah, so you're going to do this all for free. And so I'm taking him at his word. But I also know that Sean is a very ethical company owner. Like he's going
Yeah.
to do what he says he's going to do because I've had that experience with him in the past on stuff I
Same
purchased.
here.
Never had issues, but I know
Likewise.
that he's a good guy and I know that he has great customer service. And so as a part of that review, I'm just like, hey, so in that review, it's going to say, hey, this happened to my sleeve. If this happens to yours, just reach out. And if you have the know-how on how to do a sleeve breakdown, he'll just drop ship you a new sleeve. If you don't, then you can do a bar exchange or you can work that out with Bear Steel Equipment, but it's still a finding for sure.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, the solution. That's what's important. I mean, we live in an imperfect world, so things are going to happen. There's human error. Something gets made on a Friday near quitting time.
yep,
The important thing for me is how a company responds when you mention that there's a problem. That's
yep,
what matters to me. How do you treat me after I tell you that this didn't go as you and I both hoped it would when I made the purchase, right?
yep,
Um, and my process is similar to yours. Like, I get stuff sent to me. Sometimes I buy stuff just because I'm like, hey, I want to do a review of it. And sometimes companies send stuff to me, and I always send the video. I upload the video. I sent the link to them, and I say before I'm going to publish this, check it out. And this is your opportunity to either tell me I'm wrong and why, and you're gonna show me some evidence. If I say it costs $9.99 and it actually costs $8.99, just show me, right? It's also your opportunity to correct it in a way that may cause me to do a reshoot, right? But a lot of times, companies want that first impressions review so fast that you tell them, and they're like, "Oh, like if you just try to convince me that I didn't see what I saw, okay, cool. The review goes up as is,
yep,
because even if you paid me for my time. You didn't pay me to give you a good review. You know what I mean?
correct.
And that's just how I look at it. You didn't pay me to give you a good review, but you paid me to be impartial, fair, and honest. and to take my time to look at your product and to share it with my audience, the people who trust me. I'm not about to abuse their trust for the sake of a bar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or a new widget or whatever. So there's that. Quick shout out to Peter Beister. This is my first time seeing you in here. He said, "Man, this is early. It's way too early for a Friday. I know." But he said he loves early birds, wants us to keep up the good conversation. Man, this train is picking up speed, Peter. It is not slowing down. I promise you, we're going to keep it going. Kurt, before you get out of here, and I appreciate you spending some time with us, tell me, what do you have coming up next on your YouTube channel that people can check
So the
out?
next review will be it'll probably be an in-depth. I haven't shot it yet because I'm in conversation. So I'm actually Kabuki. I know that some people, whatever, people have their opinions about Kabuki based on their past experiences, but from my experience, they've always been really good. That bar test got Chris Duffin's review. I'm sorry, got Chris Duffin's attention, and so I am waiting on. Me and Chris had some DMs back and forth. I'm waiting on a potential call to discuss testing methodology. But yeah, the Oregon Power Bar will be the next one to shoot and go public. After that, I've got the Bear Steel Rockable Curl Bar. Something I'm super excited for. It's not in yet. I probably shouldn't talk about it, but I have wanted one of these
Go
for
ahead. It's just us here.
years. Yeah, well, yeah. But a very high likelihood that you're going to see Kratos flywheel trainer
Okay.
up in here, which is going to be absolutely amazing. For those of you that don't know, I am a huge freaking nerd. I'm currently like 80 to 90% done with my master's degree in sports science. So I'll be able to put sports scientist in my signature block soon. So yeah, the Kratos will be awesome. Uh, there's a bunch of stuff. The Fig Jammer, expect to see more content on the Fig Jammer. It's just been one of those things that, again, work right now is what takes priority. And because I have the unique ability to treat this as a hobby and not be tied to a schedule as much, uh, it's just kind of as I have time to do it. So,
Okay.
trying to think of other stuff. I have
Well,
to
I've
like
got
look
I've
around,
got
right?
your I've got your YouTube channel link in the description for the video on Facebook and Twitter, and here on YouTube and on YouTube as well. And it's going across the screen. So seriously, if you haven't subscribed, go to the KurtLocker YouTube channel and subscribe. One question is, if somebody wants, let's say somebody has questions about the competition, you've got your contact information on Iron Podium, right? So they can reach out
Yeah, a
if
little
they have
hack. If
questions about
you
the comp or whatever.
Yep, if you want Staddy Daddy's phone number, just jump on.
Staddy Daddy.
Yep,
Wow,
yeah, yeah. That's what
that
the
get
cops call me on base.
that right there gets the solo layout.
Right. Just saying. Yeah. Apparently, I freak people out because even though I'm a senior NCO, I'll plop right down next to an airman and go in so I've developed a call. I have earned a call sign at the security forces squadron here on base when I show up and help them with training. Staddy Daddy. But if you want Staddy Daddy's number, you just jump on Iron Podium. There it is. Not going to
There
put
you
it
go.
here. I'm going to make you go to the Iron Podium first. Otherwise, if you got other questions, hit me up on Instagram, direct message. I promise you, I am not that popular. So shoot me a message, and you're probably going to get something back in the afternoon. I am really good about, I tend to not get on social media during the duty day because I'm old. I'm an old person, and old people see that as unprofessional. Also, because I'll just get suckered down that real hole just like the rest of you. So, yeah, shoot me a DM, shoot me a text from Iron Podium, shoot me an email. That's on there as well. I'm very responsive though, and I'll give you an in-depth answer to anything that you have a question on.
Up to and including mustache tips. Do not lose out on this
Yeah,
opportunity
absolutely.
to
Hey,
get
if
your
you want to know
mustache
about
right.
if you want to know about a veteran company that offers superior mustache and hair care products, I can talk about that too.
Hey, you know what? One of my goals, this is a life goal, I'm not ashamed to say it, is to get a picture of you and Kim from Barbell Rescue side by side.
Yeah, I
But I
saw that.
want, but
Yep.
I want it to be like you guys dressed up in like old time clothing, so it looks like one of those John L. Sullivan fight posters or something. I think it'll be
So
perfect.
we got to wait till I retire because
Uh,
this is exceeding. This is I have to put product in this to keep it tamed while I'm at work
oh yeah,
because technically this is not okay in uniform.
yeah, because they'll bust out the ruler on. Well, heck, you're a master sergeant. Nobody's putting out a ruler on you.
Yeah, you'd be
Um,
surprised, man. People bust out that ruler.
but it's a you get the what you call once you get out, it's like immediately the retirement facial hair
Oh,
begins. You know, I
yep.
did it when I first got out of the Marine Corps. It was like the immediately I went from this to goatee, and then it actually just got on my nerves, and I said, "All right, the heck with it." And I went back to shaving again
Yeah, you
because
got
it
to,
was
but
itchy.
it's the rebellious part. You know, you're
Oh heck
forced
yeah,
to. I'm over 18 years in. I retire in less than 2 years. Uh, when I guarantee you, like, there's enough rank and file that I've had to submit to that I need something that's rebellious in me.
dude. So I didn't retire. I got out. I didn't really want to get out, but I had to get out. So just because of the circumstances, so I get out, and they were going on deployment. And I was like, the heck with this, I got to twist the knife, right? I mean, there was no animosity. I knew they were gonna laugh. I showed up. I had taken my desert camis, I cut them off and had them altered into shorts.
Nice,
I was wearing flip flops. I might have had on a wife beater, and I had a full goatee. And I said, yeah, because supply, this our supply is. They reached out, hey, we see that you owe us a canteen cup. Okay, so I went and got a canteen cup. I said, you dragged me out for this. Drove all the way over here for this. All right, here you go. That's what you get. Enjoy the desert.
before
But
you go,
yeah,
then real quick. So that's the SIF, right? Or is it the KIF?
the say that again.
Isn't that the SIF? First off, in the Air Force, that's less of a thing. They're passive aggressive, and they never actually ask for stuff back. Instead, they just guilt trip you for
Oh
not
yeah,
turning it in.
supply. Yeah, no, man, it was a
Yeah, what's
supply
it called?
too.
I know that there's a big debate going on right now in the veteran and military community on whether it's pronounced SIF or KIF, but maybe that's a
I'm gonna go with
conversation for
Sif,
another time. SIF, I mean,
but
that's what I go with too,
I'm going with
even though it's
Sif. Yeah,
CIF.
I mean, to me, it's like anyway, the Marine Corps is like I know our budget is smaller, but we're like
Yeah,
penny pinchers, man. They anyway.
hey,
I
they
could go off
are.
on
I'm
that
just saying,
tangent.
but they're so resourceful, and
Oh yeah.
they know how to strategically transport equipment to an alternative location. Which, if you know anything about acronyms, put that one together.
There you go. Hey, look, man. Sometimes you're getting off the ship and you need hot sauce, and there's some right there that they obviously don't want because they left it where you could see it.
Dude, if we got time for a quick segue story.
Of
So
course.
I'm in Afghanistan, and I was attached to the Second Combat Engineer Battalion for about a month. So those are the Marine Corps combat engineers out of Lejeune. Awesome group of dudes.
Yep.
I think it was first platoon. I don't recall which actual org they are. I know it's the Dirty First. They called themselves the Dirty First. So what they were so when you're doing these mounted missions, you have all these like 20-ton vehicles, you got all the
Yeah.
7 tons, and one of the Marines put his rifle down to ground guide, which is normal, right? Like, we're
Right.
inside of a good area, put his rifle down on the ground. He
Oh
was ground
God.
guiding. Whoever was driving was not listening to the ground guide, was not following the hand signals, and backed over his rifle.
Of
Well,
course.
there just happened to be, and just bent that barrel, right? The whole
Of
upper
course.
was just,
Yeah.
yeah. So there's an army company right across the street, and
Oh
I
my
think that I'm past the
God.
statute of limitations on this because this is like over 10 years ago. So
Oh,
we
never
go
mind.
on
I know
a
what happened
recon
next.
mission. Oh yeah, so we go on a recon mission, and I'm all about it because, like, I'm in the Air Force, but they're not going
Yeah,
to
what
mess
do I
with my
care?
stuff because I'm their bomb support, right? So
Yeah.
so I go with them just because I'm like,
Yeah,
screw
why
it,
not?
whatever. What are they gonna do? Yell at me? So we go over and we find probably some army private, some poor army private, and God bless this guy's soul. He took his M4 off. Just happened to be the same upper as
There you
everybody
go.
else. Now, uppers don't have a serial number on them, do they? Interesting.
No.
So yeah, we took apart the Marines, took his bent upper, and this poor, I'm guessing PFC or some crap like that, goes into the shitter, and I'm sorry, the poops. I just swore on your family show,
Yeah.
but
There you
and
go. Screw
we
my
take the
algorithm.
upper off of the Army guys and replace it with the bent Marine guys. Take his optic off, swap it because we don't want an optic issue.
No,
And
no.
yeah, now the Marines
Safety.
got a new upper.
That's right. So
Yeah,
that is remarkably similar to how we were doing hurricane relief for Hurricane Katrina, and somehow or other I couldn't find my fuel tank cover.
yeah,
However, there was a helpfully located Army National Guard unit right there, and I went right on ahead and so I went over to a Marine Corps unit because their Humvees were the same color as ours, but they were vigilant. I said, okay, no problem, respect. And I went on over to the Army, and they were not. And I just walked right past, and I just like right when I got past his quarter panel where he couldn't see me, I dropped down, reached around while on the ground, and unscrewed it and took it and gave it a good home. And
Yep.
I showed what I think is funniest about that is number one, there was an entire 7 ton of Marines who were watching, and they all of them stone faced, right? Until
Yep.
I got away, and then they started laughing. And and then the gunny who I was driving saw me coming. He didn't say a word when I got there. He sees me putting mud because they had the desert tan cover on their
Yeah.
fuel tank cover, and ours were OD green. So I had to get some green mud from somewhere and just kind of smear it on there real quick. And he
Yep.
didn't say a word. He said, "All right." So he said, "You got a cover?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "All right, let's go." And that was it. Like I don't care, right? And that was it. And I saw my man in Louisiana later on, and I knew it was him because he had a rag stuffed into his fuel tank. I say, my man, you are appreciated. Because the way we look at it is, look, it all belongs to the government. We are
Sure.
just changing custodians.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all I'm doing.
It's not stealing. It's
No,
strategically transporting equipment to an alternative location. It's totally
that's
different.
correct.
It's not the same
That's
thing.
it.
Yeah.
Completely. Kurt, my man, I know you got to go to. We have somebody from the UK watching. My man Matt Welch. He's still having issues getting over the fact that we whipped Britain twice in every
Hey,
armed
that's okay.
conflict that we've had with Great Britain. We've beat them. And he said he had the nerve to say to me, "Well, you had help from the French." I'm like, you literally are admitting that the French were the deciding factor in you losing
Yeah,
twice
but
to us.
that was pre World War One French though. That's back when they were still pretty badass.
I don't know about
But
that, man.
but for the sake of talking smack, yeah, what the hell, dude?
The French have never beaten anybody except each other. Go back and look at their history, at
Sure,
their
yeah, yeah.
martial history. They've only beaten each other. All right. Kurt, my man, thank you for being here. I kept you way too long, but thank you guys. Hey, make sure that you guys go ahead, subscribe to the KurtLocker. Now you see what kind of dude he is. He's very, very thorough. I enjoy watching your stuff, man. Have an awesome day. Keep that mustache.
Yeah, buddy.
Stad Daddy. There you go.
Staddy Daddy in the
Staddy
house.
Daddy. My man. All right.
He's
Later,
he's
man.
still trying to, by the way, he's still trying to justify his loss
I'm
there.
ignoring him. I'm like, you're
Yeah.
a lunatic.
Whatever, man.
Hey,
We took
look.
your tea. We made a giant teacup out of it.
Furthermore, when you needed help to beat Germany twice, who came and saved you? Because the French weren't helping you then, right? Okay, so we were the deciding factor. I swear to God.
All right. Well, hey, you have a good
Uncoachable.
morning, and I'm gonna switch to just listening while I get ready.
Yeah, man. All right, man. Later.
Later.
All right, that was my guy, the KurtLocker, Kurt Stasvold, Staddy Daddy.